that thing of hers at? Thought I had it out. Oh, there it is. Oh, God. We need one more.
Great.
We'll call the regular meeting of Tuesday, August 15, 2017, at approximately 7:03 to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. If you rise for pledges of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer, and remember Supervisor Stumbo and her niece in your prayers would be appreciated. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. That's in the minutes of the July 18, 2017 work session, the regular meeting, statements and checks from August 1st, 2017, August 15th, 2017, the Choice Healthcare deductible for July 17th, and the Choice Health Administration fee for June 2017, and the July 7, 2017 Treasurer's Report. A motion to be ordered approve the agreement. Motion by Rose, supported by Trustee Eldridge, to approve the consent agreement. Is there any comments or questions regarding the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next is Attorney's Report. You have a general legal update. Attorney Winters.
Public comments.
Oh, I skipped over it. We'll go back to that. Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Public comments. We'll have those first. So just give your name for the record. And remember, the person who's doing the minutes is not here. Ms. Kaiser.
My name is Arloa Kaiser, live at 1421 Melvin Street, and what I would encourage everyone here, since there's more people tonight, is with the North Harris project, Washtenaw County Road Commission wants to put a roundabout in there, and I would encourage everyone to write letters saying they don't want it. It's where Cross Street dead ends at North Harris, and it's a small roundabout, and semis would have to go over the center of the roundabout, and in the winter with the snow plowing, that means they'd have to go over the same spot 3 times to get the center clear, which is dangerous. And I would encourage everyone to write your road commission that you do not want it. And even above that, I would go to MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation in Lansing, and tell them, email them, letters are better, and say that you are against it. And I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Is there any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll go to the Attorney's Report. Legal update.
Madam Chairperson, I will take a moment. There's other agenda items, but I do want to speak to one that's not on our agenda, but it's more of an update for the board, and also recognize Ricky Jefferson. He's our Washtenaw County Commissioner. He's been very involved in this property at 923 Ecorse Road. This is a property that's been very, very frustrating, to say the least. It's a contaminated property. It's one that's a former dry cleaners. It's been vacant since 2016. To make a long story short, this is where we're at right now. This property has been foreclosed upon by the county treasurer, Catherine McCleary. As part of that foreclosure process, because it was a former dry cleaners, it was vacant, the township also inspected this property prior to it going to foreclosure, not knowing if it was going to be redeemed. It was not redeemed, and so Treasurer McCleary has total control over this property. As a result of this being a phase one, of being a former dry cleaners, a phase one environmental assessment was performed, and there was significant concerns about this property being contaminated to the point where phase two, a more detailed drill down, was going to be required. As part of the Phase 1 investigation, it was also confirmed that this property still had within its confines 160 gallons of perc, which is a carcinogenic and is one that should have been removed and transported and disposed of in a very safe manner. When we made the inquiries back in July, after we became aware that a Phase 1 had been performed, the township merely inquired as to whether or not there would be sufficient time for a Phase 2 to be performed, because Treasurer McCleary was continuing to advertise this property as one that she was going to sell at the auction on August 25th. We employed her to remove this property from the auction site pending the outcome of the investigation for Phase 2. There are residential properties behind this dry cleaners. There's also other commercial properties located adjacent there too, all of which were in this zone of potential contamination, vapor intrusion, etc. We simply did not know. At that point in time, the county, who has been very, very supportive of the township in this request, also weighed in. And at that point in time, the county actually has a brownfield redevelopment authority that's set up and had the fundings to actually pay for a Phase 2 environmental site assessment. That was scheduled to be approved on July 14th. For reasons that can never be rationally explained by anyone, Treasurer McCleary became somewhat perturbed because the township made inquiries as to why was this property still being offered for sale when in fact the Phase 2 had not yet been commenced and that it was going to take time to get those results. We implored her again to remove this property from the auction list because this property can also be legally sold at auction as late as November. She's done that in the past. She refused to do so. At that point in time, the county was doing everything from their end. I contacted the MDEQ. They came down here very, very concerned about what's going on over here. And we had a meeting on July 25th. Karen was there, myself was there, Brenda was there, so was Mike Radzik. And the meeting did not end any better than it began in terms of her continued refusal to take this property off the website. In fact, she could not explain why she did not want to take advantage of the $15,000 funding for the Phase 2. And in fact, from that point until just last week, did not proceed with the Phase 2. And when it was proceeded, finally this past week, last week, she used a different company, and I'll spare you my speculation as to why she didn't go with the first one. Suffice it to say that the first company had also supported the township's position that the Phase 2 needed to be done sooner rather than later. Fast forward to this present time, the Phase 2 initial findings have come back, and that is in fact a potentially contaminated site. The findings are not good. The barrels are still inside that building. They need to be removed. And as late as today, I've been in communication with MDEQ. She still has not taken that property off the website. She continues to try and advertise this property as being available for sale. We may not know until August 22nd what the actual detailed analytical soil results are going to be. But I will say right now that based upon the Phase 1 that we do know is not good, the Phase 2 preliminary, which shows that there is contamination of perc on that property, that to not take this property off this website in light of what transpired in Flint, in light of what public officials knew then but did not react properly, I would have to say, and I've said this before, so I can say this again, I think it's probably been the worst abdication of a public official since the Flint water crisis, because now you know for sure that this is a contaminated site and you're still trying to proceed in a fashion that doesn't make any sense, especially when we know that this contamination may actually migrate beyond the boundaries of the subject property and could impact residential properties and adjacent commercial properties. We're not trying to be an alarmist, but we are realists. And so this is not going to end well. And so at this point in time, the board has authorized our office to do whatever means necessary to get this property off the auction list. I've explored some possibilities and discussions and don't want to reveal those in a public session right here, obviously. But I would like to at least have the board publicly, again, confirm what we've already have discussed, that this is still on the active auction list. We have more information now than we did back in July. It's not any better. In fact, it's worse. And I know that Commissioner Jefferson and other people on the county board are also aware, the county administrator is aware, and they have also implored of her to remove this property from the website. And as of right now, she has not done so. So I do feel incumbent to give you that update because it is a matter of public health, safety, and welfare. And I really feel it's also an issue of environmental, justice to a large extent here. This is not right for our township to have this issue of contaminated property on one of our commercial corridors that we are trying to redevelop, especially as we start getting into potential spin-off benefits, be it ACM and other commercial activities, now that we're getting more activity on those corridors. And so, didn't mean to, I know Commissioner Jefferson is here. He may want to add to something that I did say, or maybe add more to it. But I do want to at least acknowledge that he's done an outstanding job of trying to protect his constituent base and Washtenaw County as a whole. It's not just Ypsilanti Township. We feel it directly. It's a Washtenaw County issue, and quite frankly, this issue of dry cleaners is becoming a problem all around the state of Michigan. Thank you.
So we're going to move on to old business.
Oh, thank you. So sorry. Special Assessment District number 209, Turtle Creek number 2. It was a public hearing that was held at the July 18, 2017 meeting. I have a resolution to offer supporting the creation of the Special Streetlight Assessment District number 209, Turtle Creek number 2, whereas on about April 18th, the Township Clerk received a request from the Westville Neighborhood Association asking the board for additional LED street lighting at the intersection of McCartney and State Street for Turtle Creek subdivision consisting of 121 parcels for the creation of a District number 209 for the purpose of defraying the costs of street lighting by special assessment. Whereas the Township Clerk requested Detroit Edison to propose plans and describe the street light improvement and the location of said improvements with an estimate of costs. And whereas May 12, 2017, DTE prepared and submitted those plans for one street light at McCartney and State, consisting of 121 parcels, which said plans included inter alia the installation of overhead fed 65-watt Autobahn LED with gray housing mounted on a 6-foot arm attached to an existing wood pole, with the cost of said improvements being approximately $1,869.40 for the construction or the pole costs, a lamp charge $439.56. The contribution is lamp charge subtracted from the construction costs comes to $1,429.84 for total lamp charges of $146.52. And we're on May 18, 2017, the clerk received notification from the assessor that the cost for these street lights for the 121 parcels comes out to $2.41 a parcel for 10 years. And after that, it drops to $1.22 a parcel for street lighting based on general benefit. And whereas the clerk has given notice to each record owner or property interest of property be assessed by first-class mail addressed to the record owner at the address shown on the tax records at least 10 days before the July 18th public hearing, setting forth the district and the said request, place, and purpose of the public hearing to allow any person an opportunity to voice objection that can be offered against creating the district. And whereas the clerk has also published it in the newspaper general circulation, the time, place, and purpose of the hearing, and the district affected, and where on July 18, 2007, Ypsilanti Township held a hearing to hear any objections which could be offered against the Special Assessment District, and now therefore it be resolved that the Charter Township of Ypsilanti determines that the request filed by the New West Willow Neighborhood Association members of Turtle Creek subdivision consisting of 121 parcels on April 18, 2017 is sufficient for purposes set forth to Act 188 of the Public Acts of 1954 as amended, and further resolved that a special assessment district number 209 be created for the purpose of providing a street light for the Turtle Creek subdivision consisting of the 121 parcels. Be it further resolved, the Township Board accepts the plan and estimate of costs presented by DTE for the Lakeview subdivision consisting, well, actually, that should be for the West Willow or Turtle Creek subdivision. Sorry, it's a technical typo. Turtle Creek subdivision consisting of the 121 parcels, which said plans include inter alia installation of one overhead fed 65-watt LED gray housing mounted on a 6-foot arm attached to a wooden pole will be $2.41 per parcel for 10 years, and after that the costs were estimated to be $1.22 per parcel for street lighting based on the general benefit, and the further resolve the township supervisor shall make a special assessment upon all the lands and premises contained herein to defray the expense of lighting in said streets. Be it further resolved, the Township Board shall herein annually determine on or before September 30th of each year the amount to be assessed in the said district for lighting, and shall direct the Township Assessor to levy such amounts. Be it further resolved that when the special assessment roll has been prepared and it's filed in the Township Clerk's office, before the said assessment roll has been confirmed, the Township Board shall appoint a time and place when it shall meet, review and hear any objections to assessment roll, and be that further resolved, the Township Board shall give notice of said hearing and filing of the assessment roll in the manner prescribed by statute. The Chair would entertain a motion and support
Motion.
the resolution. Motion made by Trustee Monica Ross Williams, support. Support by Trustee Eldridge. Is there any comments or questions regarding the resolution? Anyone from the public? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor of the resolution, state aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried unanimously. All right, next we have a request to approve the First Amendment to the Master Deed of the Manors at Creekside Village portion of Plan Development Number 25. It was tabled, so a motion to remove from the table is in order.
So move.
It's a motion by Treasurer Doe, supported by Trustee Eldridge. Is there any no comments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried unanimously. The issue is now properly before the board. A motion to entertain to approve that First Amendment.
So moved.
In order. So moved by Trustee Wilson. Is there support?
Second.
Supported by, let me get that right. Playing two hats here, clerk and chair. Okay, it was made by Wilson and supported by Trustee Ross Williams. I got that right?
Yes.
All right. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Now we have the request number 3 under old business of Brian McCleary, the Assistant Assessor, for the approval of a letter of agreement for sale of parcel K 1113-330001 located at State Street to James Burns in the amount of $800 plus all closing costs. Motion to remove this from table would be in order. Motion by Trustee Gerald Rowe, supported by
Support.
Treasurer Doe. Any comments? No comments. Tabling motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried to remove from table. We now properly before you. A motion to approve the request is in order. Ordered and aye.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Doe, supported by Wilson, to approve the request to sell the property to Mr. Burns. Any comments or questions? We kind of went over this in detail in the work session. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next is a request of Karen Walton, Human Resources, for approval to create and post an election special position, classification 19, within the ASME bargaining unit. A motion to remove the table is in order. Is there any motion? Hearing none. Stays on the table. All right, next budget amendment. Our new business, a motion to approve. Motion to increase the general fund by $174,258 to $9,670,578. Whoops. That's for an election and for PTO payout and to purchase a trailer for the elections department and for the Tyler Dam project. I approve the item changes as outlined, and to complete a budget line transfer to another department within the bicycle, sidewalk, recreation, roads, and general fund BSNR 2 fund, and approve the department line item changes as outlined. And finally, to increase the nuisance abatement fund by $20,000 to $58,597. The motion to approve that is in order.
So move.
Support is a motion by Doe, supported by Monica Ross Williams. To approve the budget amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. The next agenda item under new business is to authorize the execution of documents necessary to implement Ypsilanti Township settlement with the Nexus pipeline. The documents include the grants of easement, order of payment, and FERC notice. A motion to authorize that is in order.
So move.
Support. There's a motion by Treasurer Doe, supported by Trustee Wilson, to authorize the execution of the documents necessary to implement the Ypsilanti Township settlement with Nexus Pipeline. The documents include the grants of easements, the order of payment, and FERC notice. Are there any comments or questions in regards to the motion before the board?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trustee Ross Williams.
Yes. I had a quick comment. First, I want to make sure that I thank Doug for his legal work on this. And what individuals, what the public at large needs to, in my opinion, hopefully can understand is that this is a difficult decision. It is a difficult decision, but eminent domain is real. And eminent domain is something that, hopefully one day that can be, discussed more so on a higher legal plane than here. But, this is it is necessary. So, thank you.
Yeah, just for the benefit of the audience, obviously, since we had this closed session, let me just give you a Cliff Notes version as to what we're doing this evening, not to prolong anything, but because I think that this will be the conclusion to the nexus issues from the township board standpoint. I want to make a few points here. Number one, during the last 10 months, the township has at times, handled this issue as to representing the entire community, 55,000 individuals. And as part of their fiduciary responsibility, the township has to look at a number of different issues pertaining to the Nexus pipeline. As all of you, many in the audience are well aware, FERC now has a legal quorum that's going to be established, that's going to be reviewing and more likely than not approving a number of pipeline projects that have been held in abeyance during the last number of months due to a lack of quorum. During this time period, the township has talked to any number of municipalities, talked to governmental entities. We've talked to the Washington County Board of Commissioners chairperson, talked to officials from Augusta Township. We've talked to the Attorney General's office. None of those parties I mentioned are going to weigh in on this issue from a legal standpoint. The township right now is looking at if the township, even if the township wanted to weigh in and not weigh in, but wanted to challenge Nexus's right of eminent domain, that would be a cost to the township, not shared by anybody along the 255-mile pipeline, but by Ypsilanti Township taxpayers. I think Ms. Kaiser over the years has made some good points that sometimes governments do some very, very bad decisions when it comes to spending taxpayer funds. In this case, the township will be looking at a potential legal fee of $500,000 in exchange for property that has been valued by certain individuals from Nexus as being $18,000, $40,000. Right now, the township has done everything within its power to protect its residents, and we have done so in regards to having any grant of easements the protections when it comes to indemnifying the township from any liability regarding the construction, operation, and maintenance of this pipeline. We're also going to make sure that the odorization waivers or the odorization enhancements are going to be enforced in terms of making sure that whatever requirements are attached to that waiver, that we're aware of those requirements and that we follow those to a T. At the same time, the township also has been very, very aggressive in its negotiations with the Nexus pipeline. Some of you may not be aware, but Nexus has obtained over 90-plus easements from property owners, primarily in Ypsilanti Township, over 50 in Ypsilanti Township, 40-something in Augusta Township. These easements have been already obtained by Nexus, and they will not, once they receive their approval, which is forthcoming, will do the eminent domain. The township has, through its directives to myself and outside counsel, Mr. Adam Cohen and John Scheibelhut, have protected the township as best as we can and have done an outstanding job, I believe, in fulfilling that directive. Nexus will make a payment to the township in the amount of $1,650,000. And that is a just compensation for their easements that are owed to the township. So it's not that the township, I know sometimes there have been people out there saying the township has quote, caved in. The township is not caved in. It's been 10 months negotiating in good faith with what we've had to do to protect the township taxpayers and residents. And we've stood up and done the right thing. At the same time, there's no way that as long as I'm sitting as this township council, am I ever going to advise the township board to spend $500,000 in legal fees for a return of $18,000 on something that's going to happen when every community along in Washtenaw County, not one of them is going to contribute one dime. It is not a bill that can be paid for by Ypsilanti Township taxpayers. And so this issue ultimately is one at the government level, issue of eminent domain policies in regards to the granting or approval or disapproval of pipelines. We can pass resolutions all you want. We can't effectuate that change. It's done at the federal level, and I think people understand that. I really do. I've talked to people all over this county, and they understand that these decisions are made out of Washington, D.C., and it certainly cannot be at the doorstep of a township of 55,000 people to try and somehow come up with a legal strategy to stop this pipeline project. It's not going to happen in terms of that. But we can protect the township, and we have protected the township, and we have received, in my opinion, just compensation. So I certainly have no problem whatsoever in recommending to this board that the grant of easement be approved, that the appropriate notices be filed, and that the township bring this to a conclusion in the best interest of the community, safeguarding through indemnification, restoration of the properties, making sure the properties are not going to be interfered with from a recreational standpoint, all the things that were labored and are now part of the agreement. So I just wanted to at least take a moment just to emphasize that right now, because I think what Trustee Ross Williams was saying is spot on. We're at this point, and the township has done its best to do what is best for the entire community. And again, I don't think that spending $500,000 in legal fees on something that we know right now is not going to be successful is not a good use of taxpayer funds. And so with all those issues contained in these agreements, I wholeheartedly recommend that the board approve those documents. They're in proper form for execution, and that we proceed accordingly and put this issue to rest.
Thank you. Is any comments or questions from the board members? Can we hear from the board first? Just one moment, please. I want to hear from the board members first, and then you can speak. Yeah. Any comments or questions? I just wanted to say before we move on and let the public speak is that just really want to thank Attorney Doug Winters and the attorneys Adam Cohen and John Chigwell Hut. Did I do it? Anyways, thank you for your efforts and stuff, and I think of protecting, most importantly, health and safety of the township residents. I think a lot of things that were achieved, I think are going to go a long ways in making sure that if and when, probably when, the pipeline goes in, that our residents are going to be protected as much as we could legally do under the legal restrictions that both FERC and eminent domain laws allow. And I just want to say that I wanted to publicly tell you thank you, because I don't think we would have been anywhere other than just probably going through eminent domain, them taking the property, and us getting some money and not have any of those restrictions. I think that really protects the township residents and also the township taxpayers from any liability of anything that does go wrong in the installation. Any other comment? Give your name for the record, please.
Patricia Miles, Ypsilanti Township.
I'm
resident.
sorry, I couldn't hear.
Patricia Miles, Ypsilanti Township resident.
Thank you.
And I was wondering, I don't think we should take the money from them, but in the case that we do, are we going to put it aside for potential cleanup if there's a leak?
Do you have any other comments?
Well, this is just a bad idea. I've spoken before against this pipeline. They're going to frack 1.3 million acres in Ohio, and that frack
The
gas-
person who's doing the
that
tape,
frack
Ms.
gas is
Miles,
gonna come through
Ms. Miles, the
our
person who's going to record down your comments of the public record, she's not here, and we have a tape recorder, but you have to speak in the mic, or it's just going to be blank. I won't get any of your comments, and I really want to get those in the minutes. So you have to speak into it. Thank you. It's voice generated.
Okay. Well, I want to voice my opposition to this project. I wish Kathy Shane was here, but I knew that things would be happening during the summertime, and I knew when they got the quorum that this was probably inevitable, but I'm still have a lot of concerns. If you've seen Al Gore's thing about the Inconvenient Truth sequel, this is going to be bad for the environment. It's going to be bad for everybody. And I appreciate, the fight, but, we have to do more. Like Al Gore said, we're going to look back at this time and say, what were we thinking? Because it's going to contribute to greenhouse gases when they frack that 1.3 million barrels of oil in Ohio. That's what's coming. We got a banned fracking campaign going on in Michigan now. If we got 220 plus thousand signatures in Michigan of people against fracking Michigan, what makes you think people want fracked gas going through here? And we're going to look back. We're going to regret this. I hope you did everything you can, because I hate to say it. We're all going to regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miles. Any other comments? Your name, please.
My name is Arloa Kaiser, live at 1421 Melvin Street. What this amounts to is money, and it's big companies. They start these things out of state, then they start coming through here, and by the time the township knows about it, the people know about it, it's too late. Eminent domain is something that the government has to give permission to these people. And what people don't know is right now there's a glut of natural gas, which this pipeline is. Part of it is going to Canada, and if it isn't lucrative, DTE is going to charge us for the pipeline. And unfortunately, we're going to be the ones that are paying the bill.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion before the board to approve and authorize execution of the documents necessary to implement Ypsilanti Township settlement with Nexus Pipeline. The documents include grants of easements, order of payment, and FERC notice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carried unanimously. Next on our agenda is the first read of ordinance number 2017-474, the Yucca sewage disposal service rates. I have a motion to read, or a resolution to read. Ordinance number 2017, ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 77 of the Code of Ordinances, Charter Township, Ypsilanti, to increase sewage disposal service rates. Be it ordered with a Charter Township, Ypsilanti, that Section 62 through 77 of Chapter 62, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances be revised as follows. That for all billings rendered prior to October 1st, 2017, existing sewage disposal rates shall prevail. For all billings rendered on or after October 1st, 2017, charges for sewage disposal rates shall be as follows for Schedule A for each bi-monthly two-month period, and that's Schedule A, and it lists out the meter size, allowable cubic feet, and all others, and that's in the capital charges, and there's operation, maintenance, and repair costs. It lists those all out with a total in Schedule A on the document before you in the ordinance. And for all usage in excess of allowed usage, the rate per 100 cubic feet shall be as follows. It has the contract communities, 0.244 for the OM and Rs, $2.098 for a total of $2.34, and for all others is a total of $2.46. And that ordinance will be effective upon the date of publication. And I would certify that the foregoing ordinance number 2017, consisting of one page, I'm going to move that right now. How's that? So move the ordinance that's before us. So it's motion Lovejoy Rose, supported, I think I heard Eldridge and Gerald, but I'll put Eldridge down for the record. Is there any comments or questions in regards to the first reading of the ordinance number 2017-474 for the Yucca sewer service rates? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carried unanimously. Next is a request approval of the Tyler Pond Trestle Replacement. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Roll call for ordinance. Let's go back. There was a motion on the ordinance number 2017-274 for the YCA sewage disposal rates. We're going to do roll call. Jill Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Eldridge.
Yes.
Trustee Monica Ross Williams.
Yes.
Clerk Lovejoy Rowe votes yes. Treasurer Doe.
Yes.
And Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
The motion carried unanimously. Thank you for making sure we didn't have to do it again next time. The request approval of the Tyler Pond Trestle Replacement and Dam Modification Contract between YCA and Ypsilanti Township. A motion would be in order.
Move.
Motion by Doe, supported by Eldridge. Is there any questions? We talked about this pretty much in detail at the work session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have the Resolution 2017-19, Connecting the Communities Grant. A motion would be in order to approve that resolution.
Second.
A motion by Gerald Rowe, seconded by Ross Williams. Is there any questions, comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just a comment. I'm really excited about this for multiple reasons, including being able to have people connect, bikes, walking in the area specified. So I think this is great. Looking forward to it.
This is for the audience. This is to continue a piece of bike path that we have on Grove Road. It's going to go east back towards Rossonville, mostly in front of Rossonville School. All right, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have a request to approve a one-year extension of Majestic Lakes PD Stage 1 with the new expiration date of September 18, 2018. A motion is in order to be moved. I have a
Support.
motion by Wilson, supported by Doe. Is there any comments or questions regarding that motion? We talked about this in the work session. It's basically the same plan. It's just amending it or letting them, they'll have another year. Actually, it's been submitted and it's in the Plan Commission, but they don't think they'll be able to do it by September 18th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have a request for authorization for the Human Resources Department to fill the chief building official position. A motion to do so would be in order.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Doe, supported by Wilson. Any comments or questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, trustee Gerald Rowe.
just as we discussed I was sharing with Director Raznik at the work session, just to in the future maintain ADA-friendly language, maybe throw in an EEOC statement in your job postings, and if that, could be done in these, I would really appreciate that.
You want to make that a friendly amendment?
Who made the motion?
Mr. Doe made the motion, right?
Fine with me.
Thank you.
Mr.
Treasurer
Wilson?
Doe.
Right.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so we'll add that friendly motion to maintain the ADA, make sure it's ADA compliance of posting, and a statement by EOC as appropriate. There's a motion, any support, any other discussion about filling the chief building official position that we need desperately? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next is a request, authorization from the Human Resources Department to fill the Planning and Development Coordinator position. Motion?
So move, including the same EOC.
Say, okay, so the motion would read to approve it as it is, and also including to maintain appropriate ADA language, and a statement by EOC is appropriate. Is there support?
Second.
So it's a motion by trustee Joe Rose, supported by trustee Monica Ross Williams, to approve the request for authorization for the Human Resources Department to fill the Planning and Development Director position, including appropriate ADA language and a statement by EOC. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next is a request of Michael Radzik, the OCS Director, to amend the Carlisle Workman Professional Services contract to include administrative services to complete the implementation of the multifamily inspection services program in the amount of $11,760, and it's budgeted in line item 249-249-000-801-000.
Move to approve.
I'm sorry, was that Wilson?
Yeah.
Sorry. Support?
Support.
As outlined in your packets, this is a one-time thing to help get that multiple housing program going. Any comments or questions? No? Radzi? Everybody got what they need to vote? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have the request of Mike Radzik, the OCS Director, for authorization to seek legal action if necessary to abate the public nuisance for property located at 2374 Ravenwood in the amount of $10,000, and that is also budgeted, or that is budgeted in line item 101-950-000-801-023. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Doe, supported by Gerald Rowe. Deputy, well, I'm trying to make you a Sheriff's Department person again. Director Radzi, you have a brief overview of this for us, the audience?
This house on Ravenwood Street in the West Willow neighborhood is bank-owned by U.S. Bank. Mr. Winters has been taking on many of the banks, but this one in particular, they are unresponsive to our vacant building inspection registration program. This one in particular has been a problem for us. We executed an administrative warrant to do the basic code inspection. That occurred back in May. As a result, the certificate of occupancy was revoked due to numerous building code and property maintenance code violations. The banks made no effort to either correct the violations or attempt to return it to prosperous home ownership. And so, working with Mr. Winter's office, we would like to have your authorization for him to engage in an effort to get their attention in a serious way to hopefully achieve the goals that we would like to see done.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we have a motion by Doe, supported by Joe Rowe, to approve the request of Mike Radzik, the OCS Director, for authorization to seek legal action, if necessary, to abate the public nuisance for property at 2374 Ravenwood in the amount of $10,000 budgeted. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next, we have a request of Brian McCleary, Assistant Assessor, for approval to enter negotiations to sell parcel K-11-14-403-008. A motion would be in order.
So move.
Support.
A motion by Joe, supported by Trustee Joe Rowe. Brian, did you want to, Assessor, give us a brief? I know this was on our last agenda, voted down as a whole package, and now just this one parcel is brought back. But if you want to explain it.
Just for the benefit of the board, a couple years ago, Assessor's Office created a new policy, had the board approve it, for locating, identifying township-owned properties that we may have acquired over the years from tax sales or other means. And these are properties that the township had to maintain, mow, and so we're identifying these properties that could be for sale. And in this case, this property on Emerson Street, it's a vacant lot. Adjacent property owner contacted us and said he'd like to purchase it, clean the property. There's a vacant car in there and just a lot of garbage, so he just would like to clean the property, put a garage on it, and make it part of his own parcel there. And then part of the stipulation is that the property will not become a rental property. So at this point, this is step one of the process. We're requesting permission to negotiate the sale.
There's a motion, and thank you, Brian. There's a motion for the board to allow this to go on. Any comments or questions for board members or public?
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
just a clarification, is a part of the agreement not allowing it to be a rental property, would that just be for this parcel or his home that he owns?
Actually, every property that we're selling over the last 3 years, I think we've done about 5 of them, and we've stipulation in the purchase agreement and on the deed that it's not going to be a rental property.
So, right, this particular piece of land, that would be true for, but would that also apply to his current home that he owns? Like, is it at 1232? No, like, it's not up there, but do you, the house that he currently owns?
Right, because he's going to combine it into one. Right now, there's 2 parcels.
Right. So
Next
because
year,
it's one.
we're going to combine them into one parcel, and that one parcel will not be stipulated not
Thank
rental.
you. That answers my question.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Brian. There's a request of Angela Burgess, the Recreation Superintendent, for approval of agreement with the Washington Community College for Extension Center offerings. There's a motion to approve the request.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Joe Rose, supported by Wilson, to approve the agreement. Any comments or questions? I know it's for more space and it's for more money. Oh, there's Angela.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Trustee Joe.
Angie already heard my spiel, but I'd just like to say how grateful I am that we're continuing to partner with Washington Community College, especially around these 2 issues. I myself am a GED graduate from Washtenaw, so it really means a lot to me to continue this in our township. So thank you, Angie, for working on this, and I'm excited about expanding that to a new classroom.
You're welcome. Ms. Burgess, did you have something that you want to say about this project? This
We're
contract?
excited. We're excited about continuing the project. This is actually just a renewal of the contract from last year. The program has grown, so the difference in this contract is that they're asking for an additional classroom to help expand and give some individual attention to some of the students, and also a little increase in the monetary value for adding that additional classroom.
Any other comments or questions? I too am so glad, because we weren't sure if it was going to work out with everything going on over there, but I'm so glad because I mean it's so needed, and education is like
Yes.
the answer to everything, and this is a chance for folks who, for whatever reason, missed out on the normal. And I got a chance to, and if you ever get a chance, I'm sure they'll have it again, an open house, and
Yes.
a little celebration, whatever that was, and got a chance to meet the staff, and they're all like so dedicated and so loyal to their students. And
They're
so-
excited about it
so
as
I'm
well.
excited.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Hearing no other comments, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those that are against, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next on the agenda is item 13 is request of Eric Copeland, our chief, of the fire department for authorization to place the surplus fire equipment and a public auction at the Chelsea Fairgrounds on Saturday, September 23rd, 2017, and anything that's not sold, dispose of that in an environmental manner. Motion would be in order to approve that request.
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Ross Williams, supported by Trustee Eldridge. Is there any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Good luck, Chief. Motion carried. Next, 14 is a request to approve 2 option agreements between SBA and Ypsilanti Township for site lease agreements at 7200 South Huron River Drive and 9075 South Huron River Drive, each in the amount of $370,000. A motion to approve those would be in order.
So moved.
Motion Doe, supported, somebody down there. Joe Rowe. We have a motion and support in front of us. Attorney Winters.
Yes,
I'll be right back.
this probably is one of the more unique board agendas that I've been associated with in the last 34 years. When I say that, only because I've warned the new trustees that this is not something that usually happens, and it probably won't happen again the next 30, 40 years. But during the last 12 to 15 months, the township has been very blessed to negotiate a significant amount of money in what we would call non-tax revenues, revenues that normally don't come your way as a municipality. And these 2 option agreements this evening are part of that overall success story during the last 12 to 15 months. The township, back in 2006, negotiated 3 separate lease agreements with T-Mobile at the time. The one was at 9075 South Huron River Drive, which is the Ford Lake Park. The second one was 7200, which is over here behind the parking lot. And the third location was on Holmes Road by Yucca Plant. That one has since been sold off by T-Mobile to a different Crown Castle is their name. The 2 on Huron River Drive under the ownership of SBA Communications. You may recall that last year the township was successful in entering into a lump sum agreement with SBA for $340,000 for the lump sum payment for the cell tower located at I-94 Cadillac. In this situation here, these payments, by the way, at $370,000 per site is equal to about 14 to 15 years of progressive payments in one lump sum. Some people may ask, well, what's the advantage of that? Well, as we've seen the whole telecommunications industry evolved, there are a number of people, even in that industry, that really don't know if the cell towers as we know them today are even going to exist in 15 years or even in 5 or 10 years. Many articles on the internet today are predicting that you'll be able to connect from handheld device to handheld device without having to have a cell tower per se. There's also going to be additional satellites. There's also technology right now they can put these type of smaller cell towers on city-owned light poles. And so what we see today out there is probably not going to be around in 15 years. But all that aside, the $370,000 in a lump sum per site for a total of $740,000, it's a lot of money for the township to do a number of good things with. I've talked with the county director, Giovanni Neal. This would be a total township board decision. But it's one I did raise in my letter. The board saw fit to approve these option agreements that would allow SBA to do the due diligence and to close on this in the next 90 days. The township currently owes approximately $750,000, $740,000, almost the same amount, $720,000 plus additional interest for the remaining indebtedness on the Seaver Farm. And as you may recall, the township owed $1 million this time last year, and we did use the 340 from the first cell tower to pay down that debt, and now it's down to the 720. If the township board saw fit, this lump sum of $740,000 would pay off entirely the Seaver Farm debt. That's a great feeling to have. It's like paying off a mortgage on your house. You don't owe anybody, the bank or anybody else, bondholders, free and clear. Not picking on our neighbor, because I live there in the city of Ypsi, but obviously you see what happens when you have property that you own as a city, you can't pay off, you have to have millage votes. And this past week they had a millage proposal of 2.3 mills to pay off that indebtedness. This $740,000, if so designated, pays off that altogether. There's no more debt on Seaver Farm. That's, again, the board decision to make. But I just want to take a moment to at least highlight for the newcomers as well as the ones, and they're not newcomers anymore after a year, by the way. After a year, they're no longer.
Honeymoon's over.
Honeymoon's over. No more newcomers. But I just want to, at least right now, I'm just doing some figuring here. I'll talk with Giovanna about this because tonight we had also on the agenda, we had that Tyler Dam contract on before the board. That was $1.9 million. And as you recall, the township did negotiate $1 million payment from RAD and ACM to pay towards the Tyler Dam and also pay the residents' portion of the special assessment district that was associated with the Tyler Dam removal. So between the Tyler Dam RAD ACM payment of $1 million, the $340 from the cell tower in 2016, the $1,650,000 from the Nexus gas transmission, and the $740,000 tonight, if so approved, comes to a total of $3,730,000 in non-tax revenue. And even though everybody may not always agree with what the township board might do, I think everybody would admit that's a lot of money to have that's not going to be paid for with the taxpayers writing those numbers. And so, again, it's an option period, 75 days. The person in San Diego that's representing SBA in this transaction, they're anxious to get started to do the deal. They'll do the environmental investigation. They'll do the title work. All those costs are at their expense. And again, this represents, and we still own one more cell tower. We still own one more cell tower. And so we've at least established, I think, a pretty good track record for what they're worth in terms of value. And again, not to belabor this issue, I think it's a pretty historic night in many ways for the township. People may argue all they want to about, the issue of a nexus, but the point is, I have no choice on those issues. This one here is also one that cell towers, people need cell towers to communicate. In fact, around the south side of the township, I'm constantly dropping phone calls all day long in terms of the cell towers. But the bottom line is, the chance for the township to enhance their revenue without looking to the taxpayers for additional funds, again, I recommend the option agreements be authorized by the township board if so agreed to, and they be signed by Supervisor Brenda Stumble and Per Carolyn Joy Rowe, and then we proceed to do that, and I'll leave to the board's wisdom and discretion as to whether they wish to designate those funds for the Seaver Farm indebtedness, although I do know how Giovanna feels about it. So I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Treasurer Drove.
that I change my amendment to approve the amendment with the funds going to pay off the Seaver Farm.
That was supported by Trustee Gerald Rose. So is that okay with you?
Treasurer Dell.
All right. So we have a new motion or a change motion that says to approve the requested approval of two option agreements between SBA and Ypsilanti Township for site lease agreements at 7200 South Huron River Drive and 9075 South Huron River Drive, each in the amount of $370,000, and for the amount to apply directly to the debt payment owed on Seaver Farm. Any comments or questions regarding that revised motion and support? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. Everyone that's in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Doug, for all your work on that. Really, really appreciate it. And I just think that, though, you should tell the trustees who still are in their honeymoon that this is an extremely rare occasion to get that amount of money. I've never heard of it. And, yeah, so that's to do that every year. I mean, but now you set the bar, so, you know.
I would say this is more rare than that lunar eclipse you're about to see.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Maybe another 100 years. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Just wanted to make sure people realize that. Number 15, we need to set 2 public hearings on Tuesday, September 19, 2007, for the creation of the following special assessment districts. One is on Tuesday the 19th at approximately 7 o'clock for the creation of a neighborhood streetlight special assessment district for Manners at Creekside Village, and the request to set the public hearing date of Tuesday, September 19th, 2017 at 7:15 to creation of a neighborhood camera special assessment district for the Manners at Creekside Village. A motion to do so is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Eldridge, supported by Ross Williams, and just as a way of explanation, this is for what was required in the development agreement for Manners to actually be able to do. They're going to be paying for both the camera installation and the street light installation, and the street lights are required because you can't put the cameras up in this area without the street lights, so it's a little bit different than the normal camera ones because they have the decorative lighting and we have to put up new lights and new poles. So, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion to create or to set this public hearings for these 2 different special assessment districts. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Authorization and bids. We have the request of Michael Cerinan, the hydro operations, to waive the financial policy and award the low quote to Utilities Instrumentation Service for products and services to the hydro station transformer in the amount of $24,730 budget item in line item 252. 252-000-930-001. The motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Support.
Eldridge made the motion, Joe supported it. Are there comments and questions? I know that Mike's put a good memo in, but if you have any other questions, my understanding is he wants to waive the policy. The way I read the memo was because if we don't, we're going to lose money because when it's going to go down anyways and we won't be able to do the work at that specific time. It's work that needs to be done and you're taking advantage of the shutdown. The DTE is going to be doing anyways to do maintenance. Save us money like Mr. Michael Cerinan, the damn man, always does.
Trying to minimize that downtime.
Yeah. Was that okay?
That's
All right,
perfect.
you guys have any comments or questions? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Michael, for the job you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next is, and Jeff had to go. He's got serious back issues, and so we told him we thought we'd be able to handle his motions or his requests. The first one is a request of Jeff Allen to seek sealed bids for ADA accessibility improvements at Civic Center. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Eldridge, supported by Ross Williams, and as you can recall, we actually paid and hired an architect to design the bids to go out and actually make some handicapped or differently able, accessible seats in this room, and along with fixing the counters, both upstairs and down, and now the bid specs are done, and this is authorization to go to bid. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Motion carried unanimously. Next is another request of Jeff Allen to seek bids for the additional golf course path improvements. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Motion by Ross Williams, supported by Wilson. This again is one that we approved. Somebody designed the bid specs. This is ready now to go for bids. It'll go out. If it's approved, if they get the bids in, a recommendation, it will come back to you at that time with both a budget amendment and a recommendation on who to hire for the project. Are there any questions on that? I know Matt Parks is here from OHM if you have any technical engineering kind of questions, along with Wayne Dudley's here out of the Residential Service Department. No questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. This motion also carried unanimously. Next, we have another one that's for Jeff, and it's a
Residential Services Director seek proposals for a new fuel management software program. A motion is in order to allow him to go out for bid for that, or get proposals. It's professional services.
Motion.
Motion by Monica Ross Williams, supported by trustee Stan Eldridge. My understanding of this, speaking with Jeff and Wayne, is that it's time, our stuff is old, it's time to get it updated with new equipment so we can track our gas usage. There's also in there, I think we're going to do two proposals. One's going to be, once they find out whether we got to keep the gas tanks here or the ones at the Civic, or at the Ford Lake Park. So there'll be two different options in there because we don't know at this point whether we got to keep both of them or not. And if so, there's an option in there to bid on removing one of those. And I think that's all I really understood about it. Wayne, anybody got questions? Or Wayne, you got anything to add that I didn't really get straight?
That sums it up.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I did ask or have a chance to email Jeff before the meeting because I was just wondering why, if we're going to eliminate the two at Ford Lake and then move the other ones here, I think is their idea. I just wanted to know why there were ones that were kept over at the golf course, and he explained that it's because that's what they use to fill the golf course or whatever. But I didn't ask in my question why we're moving the ones from Ford Lake to here. Is it just a more convenient location? Or?
It is. All of my equipment, all of my staff works out of the garage out back here, and those tanks are only 1,000 gallons each. We have diesel and we have gasoline. There's two tanks that were abandoned, decommissioned by the DEQ. So that's part of the problem, or part of the process that we'd have to go through is recommissioning these tanks, make sure they're adequate. These are 6,000 gallon tanks each. Number one, we get a better price the more we buy. We wouldn't have to do it as much, which is labor intensive, especially during the summer months, because we go through a lot of diesel and a lot of gasoline in my trucks. And Mike Saranen just brought up another good point is if we do have a leak, we've got a major issue with Ford Lake being right there. So if these are deemed usable, we benefit all the way around, financially, DEQ-wise, the lake, and, pollution, the whole shot. So these would have to be approved usable first.
Yeah, go ahead, trustee.
And so if we close the ones at Ford Lake, they would be that would be properly done. There would be.
Yeah, they would be just decommissioned just like these would.
Thank you.
I personally think that that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that until just you brought it up. But also, I know we used to use them here a lot because the sheriff's department used to get gas, and they ran out of here. And then I think probably when they moved is probably when we decommissioned because the equipment was still running out of Ford Lake. But
yeah, the RSD department was still at Ford Lake at the time.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the request to seek proposals for a new fuel management software program, say aye.
Aye.
Those are opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimously. And next we have a request of our chief, Copeland, to seek sealed bids for replacement of the two furnaces and air conditioning units at the fire headquarters located at 222 South Ford Boulevard. A motion to approve is in order.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Wilson, supported by trustee Eldridge. It's my understanding, reading the packet and talking with the chief, we did this one time. It wasn't sufficient. They want to go back out to see if they can get the bids and move the project forward. And they'll be bringing the bids back here once the selection is made for approval and a budget probably amendment.
That is correct, Madam Chair. We did this, I think, back in April or May.
Spring, wasn't it?
And the two bids we received were overbid. We did get one that was underbid, under the budgeted amount. However, it came in late. So we just, because the two were over, we decided we'll just suspend it and we'll go back out later.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Aye. Opposed, nay. I forget what I'm doing. Okay, next is a request also of Chief Copeland to seek sealed bids for replacement of carpet at the fire headquarters located at 222 South Ford Boulevard. A motion is in order to let him go out to bid for carpet.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Doe, supported by Wilson. Is there any comments or questions? I know the details are in the packet, the type of carpet they're going to go out for, and I know it needs it desperately. Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Motion carried unanimously. We have any other business?
Yes, Chair, I just wanted to just very quickly read a statement in regards to what happened, unfortunately, in Charlottesville, Virginia, on the 12th. And this is for me, but I wanted it on the record. Racism and hate cannot be tolerated and condoned in this country. When undeniable and downright deplorable events happen in our nation, those in a position of leadership must strongly condemn it, starting from the very top to elected officials across the great nation of America. My prayers are extended to all of the victims of the massacre and domestic terrorism event in Charlottesville, Virginia on Saturday, August 12, 2017, and extends thanks to the first responders who immediately stepped in and helped the injured and the victims. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ross Williams. Any other business? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Support.
It was Joe and Gerald Rowe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. We adjourned at 8:15 or 14 or whatever. What is that? 8:13. 8:13 we adjourn. Good morning, Stan. Bring those questions in. Thank you. That's hard.